At the end of the day, all of these companies are people. If you have a relationship there, it's always way easier. That's why making this podcast and building all of these connections and all of that is so important.
Yeah.
Because you having that connection with that person. Right now, I can text some of my buddies, like they work on big YouTube channels, and like I can text them and ask for a favor.
Right.
If you don't know the person, it's like, it's impossible. How would you in your wildest dreams be able to connect directly through to that person? But it's because you have that connection.
100%.
Which that's why I'm so happy that you started to do your podcast.
Yeah.
And remember, I think I told you about this the first time you and I met. You and I met because of a friend.
Right.
Otherwise, we would have never crossed paths. We would have never like sat down to like talk about anything like that.
Yep.
And that's why I think having a podcast as a business person is so valuable, because right now you have already done 15 interviews. Those are 15 new connections that you have with people that they're going to take your phone call or your text, and you never know, maybe 2 years down the line, you're going to need someone who deals with cars or deals with YouTube things or Meta, verifying the name, doing this, doing that. And just having those connections is like, how do you put a price on that?
Yeah, you really can't. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's funny you said that, because like there was an incident that happened where there was I was in Virginia, and I had somebody here in California that was in trouble. And I don't think Ricky would do that right now because we're not really kind of doing business, but he was paying me. I was like basically kind of like the backbone of his business at that time when he had his marketing agency, and I was getting paid pretty handsomely by him, to like anywhere from like 8,000 to 15,000 every single deal. But anyway, so my friend was in trouble actually, and it was like drug involved, and Ricky left his family dinner, like he was having dinner with his girlfriend, his family members. I said, Ricky, I need your help. There's this guy and he's in trouble and I need you to pick him up. And he was like, dude, I'm with family right now. I was like, dude, I wouldn't ask you this if it was an emergency. And he drove like, I think it was 2 or 3 hours, left his family dinner to go help out my friend. And then we got on a call and make sure he was okay, put him in a hotel. And so, yeah, it was, obviously I think that stuff kind of happens when you provide people so much value. I don't think he would kind of do that right now because we're not really kind of, there's not really that value exchange kind of thing. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of invaluable, these connections, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I want to talk to you more about like, I kind of want to like just switch topics. It feels so Hollywood being here, like the chairs itself. It's like I feel like I'm a director.
Yeah,
I have a pen and a piece of paper because I'm always trying to learn, and I'm also like trying to always have better conversations. But yeah, like these camera setups are amazing. Like these look like movie setups, and then the screen in the background, the view. I mean, it completes the entire package. Yeah. But obviously, you came from hard times, right? Like this didn't come to you easy, I'm sure, right? You mentioned to me in the past that you came from Cuba. Can you share me a little bit of your story and how you got here and how you were able to kind of, because I'm sure you kind of maybe had this vision in mind?
Not this specifically. And even for me, every now and then, like, I have to stop myself and be like, wow, we are actually like here in Hollywood.
Right.
Like I was born and raised in Havana, and I came to America in 2012. And the way I was able to come to America was because I went to a film festival in Canada, and then I went to the border and defected and came to the country as a refugee. So think about it. I go to a film festival in Canada, and then I snook out on a morning when everyone went drinking the night before. And then I woke up like at 5 a.m. and I start walking, and I leave the hostel that we were staying at. And I just start walking, and I find a bus station. And this was in Quebec, Canada, which is like way up north in March, snowing. It was cold as fuck, you know? So we start walking, make it to the bus station, and then we have to take a bus to Montreal. And it was almost like now we're left. I was with my ex-wife at the time, and now we're just in Canada. We left the film festival that we had been invited to go,
right,
and now we're on our own. So by the end of that day, we made it all the way to the American border. And then I got to the last bus station like 20 miles before the border, and then it's like, I don't know what else to do. So we just start walking And we're like, okay, let's just walk.
Past the border. Let's just do it.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, I didn't know what else to do.
were you wearing like a backpack, wearing a
Yeah,
suit? Like
I had a backpack, no suit,
no suit.
no
I
suit.
feel like they would take you more seriously if you had a suit.
No, dude, like the whole suit and everything, like
Yeah.
that part of myself came later. Like at this time, I'm 21.
Mm-hmm.
I was wearing like whatever winter clothes I had from Cuba, which is in the Caribbean. Like our clothes were like very summer.
Mm-hmm.
And we just start walking, and eventually we find a taxi. And then we paid that guy to like drive us up to a little checkpoint in the border. And he was supposed to drop us off like before the actual border control point. But the street was like a one way, and he couldn't turn around, and like my English and his English was not good. So we drive up to the border, and then the patrol, like the immigration dude, is like, where's your visa? And then I give him my Cuban passport, and I'm like, I'm from Cuba, I'm coming to America. And he's like, no, what are you talking about? Where is your visa? And I'm like, no, I want to be like a refugee in America. And he's like, no, what are you talking about? And then I tried to leave the car to like explain. And then he's like, get back in the fucking car. Like he got so upset because all he sees is like this Cuban dude like trying to go across
In a taxi.
yeah, so he like grabs his gun. He's like, get back in the
No.
car. And then I start freaking out. So I shut the door, and he like makes us pull over. So they take us inside. And this is in the middle of like upstate New York,
Yeah.
tiny little checkpoint. And they put us inside. They start questioning and checking that we don't have any weapons or anything like that. So they keep like asking us all these questions. And they had no idea about Cubans coming to America to become refugees.
Right.
And my brother has an even crazier story. That
And you were with him, right, when this
no,
happened?
no. I did this like back in 2012. My brother just came to America last year, and his story is like you would have to have him on the show at some point and go through that, because he went through like 10 times worse than what I went through.
Right.
Because like after that incident, eventually that day they figured out everything, and they're like, okay, welcome to America. Like you're good, because America is, they have a different laws for Cubans coming into the country. When you defect from a communist country, they have a refugee status for us. And that's how I was able to come to America. And then I got a scholarship to go to film school in Tennessee, and I went to school at Lee University.
Right.
And that's how my whole story started.
So you first came here in 2012, was the first time ever?
2012, yeah, it's the first time I came to America.
And how did you get from Cuba to Canada?
I went to a film festival, and I was invited by this Canadian like organization to go to a festival, and it was through the Cuban Film Institute,
Oh, okay.
which controls all of film production in the country.
Gotcha.
So there you cannot really make a movie and have distribution unless you're inside the Film Institute, and that is controlled directly by the government, like the communist government.
Gotcha.
So that was my way out, because I was doing a project with them. They gave us permission to like go to this festival.
Yeah.
And then we just defected.
Right. Wow. What's Cuba like right now anyways? Like, is it still a communist country? I'm an idiot when it comes to like,
Yeah.
Politics, what's going on, but it's still a communist country.
Still a communist country, really sad place to live. It's a beautiful island. It's a little island in the Caribbean, 90 miles off of the coast of Florida. And it used to be this amazing little island that back in the 50s, it was flourishing. The economy was great. It was like one of the top countries in South America and Latin America as far as like industry and just technology, the news, like TV, one of the first places to have like actual national television and all that back in the day. But because of Castro and communism, once the Soviet Union like crashed, everything there went to hell basically. And for the last like 60, almost 70 years now, it has been a communist country that it's really sad, it's really hard to make a living there. The lifestyle is really rough. I grew up with my parents being doctors.
Right.
And they were making like $20 a month.
$20 a month?
Yes.
What is that in like Cuban money?
In Cuban money, that was about like 400 pesos back then. So now they make a little bit more, but still you would have to. So think about this. For you to buy like a soda it was like 50 cents in US.
Right.
But then you're only making $20 US.
Right.
For you to go and buy like a deodorant or like a bar of soap, it was like $1.
Yeah.
But you only got $20 a month as a doctor.
Right. That's
So how do you make sense of that?
yeah. What kind of doctors are they?
They're just family doctors, and my dad was a registered nurse.
Okay. Gotcha.
So here they would be making like a great living.
Yeah.
But there is completely upside down. Like a taxi driver there makes like, they will make $20 a day
In Cuba,
in Cuba.
they make more than doctors.
Yes, by like 10 or 20 times more.
That's so interesting. You would think that the doctor would make more because they're actually saving lives and bettering people's health.
But it's a communist system,
Right.
which means that everything is controlled by the government. Therefore, everything is really cheap, but also it doesn't produce any money.
Right.
So the beauty of capitalism is here you can create a hospital and go hire doctors, and you can go and offer a service that people will pay for, and then you can reward the doctors.
Right.
And I know that our health system has a lot of problems, but at least you still have free market, and
Yeah.
you can have a great hospital. Will have more people that go there because they have a choice.
Right.
For us in Cuba, it's like, this is the hospital that you have, and that's all we have. And because it's not producing money, the government is putting in the money. It has to come from somewhere.
Right.
And when it's something that is not producing money, it's not going to generate any quality service. And the same goes for television. And like my industry, like I always wanted to like be in the movies and work in that.
Right.
But because we didn't have a healthy like film industry, and the films were also part of, like, you want to know about propaganda? Cuba and our system, everything, man, like all the movies were actually funded by the government to make the government look good.
Wow.
So our entire like film industry for a big chunk of like 50 years, it was all films funded by the government. So when people talk about, you know, here on the internet and in America, everyone is talking about, oh, they're censoring people and they're deplatforming and canceling people and all of this. It's like, not even close. Like, not even close.
You're comparing to Cuba, of course.
Comparing to Cuba, yeah. Like here you have like CNN, Fox, like
Right.
whatever news outlets you want to create, and they can say whatever they want. They can make fun of the president, like as long as it makes sense for their business.
Right.
But in my country, we had one news program that was directly controlled by the government.
Ah.
So they would take CNN footage with no sound.
Right.
So they would take the B-roll.
Right.
You want to know like who really created fake news?
Who?
It was Castro, bro. Like they would take all the...
Is he alive, by the way?
No, he died.
Okay, cool. Just make sure he can't come after us. Okay, good.
Yeah, no, we're in America. Like we're safe. But dude, they would take the news from America, and then they would put their own graphics and their own, like, they would read their own voiceover with whatever news they wanted to say, using the footage from that. And because we were closed off to the internet and any news channel or any TV signal whatsoever, we only had 2 channels.
Right.
And they control all of it in the whole country. So they could say whatever they wanted. Like the president will go on TV whenever he wanted and say whatever he wanted. We used to have like hurricanes that would come through the island. So like you have the head of the meteorology center in the whole country, like trying to explain the hurricane and what's happening. And then Castro will walk in and he will be on the broadcast telling the guy, no, I think the hurricane is going to do this and do this. Nobody has to worry. It's the craziest shit ever. But for us, we grew up with that. So it was like normal.
Wow. That's so who funds this then?
Who funds Netflix?
Who funds, Netflix? Who funds all these Hollywood movies? Because you're saying Cuba was funded by the government when it comes to like movies and things like that. Who's funding the movies in America?
You.
Me.
Yeah. Do you have a Netflix account?
No.
Do you watch any Netflix?
No.
Do you watch, but you go to the movies?
No.
You have never watched a movie in your life?
I've watched the movie,
Okay. Were you pirating the movie? Were you downloading it on some Pirate Bay or something like that?
No comment. No, I'm just kidding. No, my friends, I'm sure they have like their Hulu accounts on
So you don't watch any TV?
I no. And if I do, it's like because my roommates are like in their living room and it's like 2 a.m. I'm coming back home and I
But
just
they're
want to
paying
relax.
for it.
Yeah,
So
they're paying for it.
in your household, there is a streaming
I'm sure. Yeah,
account
yeah. Hulu
that
or
you watch.
they have their Netflix
Yeah.
accounts,
And
but
you
I
watch,
don't. Yeah.
you watch YouTube.
I watch YouTube.
And do you have ads?
No, I pay for premium.
For premium.
Yeah.
So you are paying for your YouTube content.
Right, but I'm not paying for this.
You're not,
Hollywood.
because you don't watch these movies.
Right.
But think about right here in this like 5 mile radius.
Right.
When you think about the amount of films that have been produced out of this little town that go on to be seen by billions of people, and the catalog, like you can still go and watch Rocky or like whatever old movie you like,
Right.
and that keeps being watched over and 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 over by millions and millions of people everywhere.
Yeah.
That's how you pay for things. Like in America, we pay for the movies.
Makes sense.
So the government doesn't pay for anything. Like we pay for it.
Okay, that makes sense. And okay, so being out here, first of all, like, so you came from Cuba, then you went to Canada, then you came here.
Well, I went to Tennessee first.
You went to Tennessee when you came to America?
Yes, and I
Okay.
went to film school there.
Right.
And I lived there for about 5 years.
Okay.
And then I was going to move straight to LA, but I had some friends that had moved to Atlanta, and
Yeah.
the film industry about 5 years ago, there was a huge boom of production in Georgia because Georgia was giving back a 30% tax rebate on film production. So if you, for example, have you seen The Avengers?
Yeah.
So The Avengers was shot in Georgia
Oh.
because like around average for a movie like that, like I think after everything was said and done, it was
Yeah.
about $1 billion.
Wow.
So imagine getting 30% tax
Yeah.
credit. Like if you're a studio and
Yeah.
let's say you have 10 movies and they all amount to $1 billion in spend, then you get 30% back. That's $300 million.
Yeah, it's a tax write-off. It's kind of like when businesses buy like the G-Wagon, that you have to get like a certain amount of pounds to get the tax write-off. Actually, one of the clients that I have in my marketing agency is a personal injury lawyer, one of the top in the country. And it's like we have a saying, it's like God is perfect. When things like this happen, we have to say it because it's like, I don't know why I came here, but now I kind of know why. Because maybe it's because I had to make that connection and help this brother out that got hit by a city bus, and put that connection in with the personal injury lawyer. And then also another thing, last night, my friend Arman, who's been doing podcasts for 2 years now, he's very like in like the Gen Z culture, creators kind of economy kind of thing, VidCon kind of guy. And I met another brother through there, and he actually just converted to Islam, and he was telling me about how, you know, the Muslims here, they're kind of fake to him, and he's having trouble learning, and he's trying to learn every day, and he feels like he's on the right path, but like it just kind of feels weird. And so we were sitting at like 2 a.m. last night just talking at a gas station. I would just give him advice on like how to move forward with these things. I was telling him stories, and essentially in hindsight, it's just like forgive them, because that's what was taught to us, is to forgive others and just move forward. And the reason why I also told him this, because when you forgive people on this earth, God shows mercy to you. So it's more like, so say, you know, just in hindsight, like you kind of do, maybe you made a mistake in your life. If you're able to show mercy to others when they do wrong to you, another thing that my religion teaches me is to return evil with good. And it's something that I just started doing like the past year, and it's a huge like self-control. Let me take a sip real quick. Sorry.
Yeah. I think it's more for your own self-narrative,
and
what you believe about yourself.
Yeah, and it's a huge self-control muscle that I'm currently working, because it's like, if say somebody like steals from me, or say somebody stabs me in the back through a business deal, or
So
they
what
go
do
around
you
my
do in
back.
that situation? If someone's like,
I have to return that evil with good. So
Why?
what does that mean?
why?
Because first of all, that's what is taught to us, but then it's like there's a greater wisdom behind it, and it's that when you show mercy to them, to the creation of God, then he'll show mercy to you, not just in this life, but in the hereafter. Because we believe that we'll be judged like Christians and do as well. So.
Yeah. I used to think that I grew up in the Christian evangelical religion in my country, and I used to think that way. Now I think I've changed my views on that a little bit. Okay. And my reaction to that is just completely cut them off of your life and remove that, and try to even remove a memory of that person and what they did to you, so you can continue on your own path, but don't go out of your way to do good to them.
Okay, so maybe like the thing that I say kind of seems off. Like I'm like something happened in my business, for example, like a week and a half ago, and dude, I was like contemplating like 30 different ways to get back at him. Like, you know what I mean?
But you can't. You have to get back to them in good.
In good, exactly. So it's like for 2 or 3 days, I was like walking around on my own, pacing around, writing on my notebook. This is what I'm going to do. And it's funny because Abraham Lincoln, obviously the old president, he actually used to do this as well. When like a commander wronged him or did something bad, he would write the most insane letter, like, this commander did this and this and that, screw this person, I'm going to... And then he would take the letter, fold it, and put it in his desk.
But I wonder what his actions would have been afterwards. So I had an experience about 3 years ago when I first came to LA.
Yeah.
I was working on a project, a huge project. Like I had just completed my second feature-length documentary, and I got an offer for distribution, and I finished the film and everything, and I started working on a project with this guy. I was editing something because a friend referred him, and then I was editing his film, and then we go out to lunch and we start talking about ideas, and he finds this big channel that was wanting to do a feature documentary on a very important person on a very important topic, and it was like the budget was like $120K. And long story short, we put together this project. I did a lot to put together the project and make like all the pitch decks. I got a location, I got different people. We shot like a teaser. We explained the whole structure of what the film was going to be. And granted, this guy completely used me. He used my credibility because I was the one who had a movie made. So he used me to sell the project. And then when I moved to LA, and the project was going to be shot, like 80% of it was going to be shot here.
Right.
Then when the project actually got traction, he kind of like put me to the side and put me on ice and didn't let me communicate with the network. And we were doing the project together, and then all of a sudden it changed. Like he wouldn't reply my phone, like my text.
Why did he do that?
He did because he's a fucking asshole. And he completely used me. Yeah. And he said that he couldn't like keep me on the project, which is completely not true.
So sounds like he wanted to take the whole credibility to the whole project to himself, get the glamour and the money and everything. But here's the thing. It's like, say he comes to a networking event here in LA.
I'm going to punch him in the face.
No, well, not just that, but like, it's like, he comes here in LA or somebody mentions his name, you're gonna be like, that guy screwed me over.
100%. And that's what I have a good friend who's a lawyer. Yeah. And like I hit him up. I was like, I want to sue him. I want to find the money. Like it was a substantial, like 120 grand for a project. That's a pretty good amount of money for someone.
He didn't pay you a single penny?
No, I didn't end up doing the whole project. I did all the development of the project with him. And then when it got greenlit, like he snaked me out of it. So I wanted to like sue him for the profit we were going to make, and also being able to do a project of that caliber. And just so you understand, it was a project that was going to go on a major network, which would have given me a lot of credibility, right? Plus the money we were going to make, plus the connection to the person that we were going to do the documentary with, which is someone who's like, I'll give you the details off camera so you can understand what it means. But basically it was like a straight shot in to have contact directly with a person that was going to do a superhero movie later, that if it went through, it could mean like changing your career, right? Basically. So my lawyer said, He was like, the energy and effort that you're going to put into going after this dude, you're so talented, so driven, like you're so on point. This is going to derail you from building on your own thing.
Yeah.
And it was a hard lesson because I really needed the money. And it was also me coming to LA. I was going to break strong with a strong project. And all of a sudden, all of this you get screwed over. Like, one thing is like, if the network calls and say, hey, we're not doing the project.
That's different.
That's different.
Because they're rejecting you. Yeah.
But you and I spending so much time together, I give you food in my house, you meet my children.
Oh my God.
Like,
it was that far.
It
like
was that.
He came, like it was a friend, and he just,
yes.
for $120K budget.
Yes. So, but my lawyer said, you just let it go, you build. And that's my approach to when people screw you over. Because at the end of the day, the way I think about it is, I'm going to be one of the biggest directors and producers in LA.
Right.
It's going to happen.
That too. Yeah.
It's going to happen. So eventually, we are such a close group of people, and your reputation matters a lot.
100%. Yeah.
So that person is going to end up losing big time later.
Right.
Because exactly what you said, whenever that person comes around me and any of my influential friends, is going to be like, do not even like talk to that guy.
Don't even go near him. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it's like a short-term mindset too, because he's sacrificing the now for later. And I'm curious if he knows that or not.
I'm pretty sure he knows.
Huh. That's interesting. How do you deal? How would you deal with that in the future if like something like that came along where he's like, hey man, I got this big project, $500,000 budget, $1 million budget, need your help with development. How do you go about that in the future to protect yourself?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. A lot of people would have like NDAs and legal this, legal that.
Right.
To be honest, you can put all of that in place and that helps. But at the end of the day, if someone wants to screw you over, they will screw you over. It doesn't matter how many documents you have or lawsuits, because even if we have a contract, if I break the contract, you would have to sue me. So,
which means I'm losing money too by hiring the lawyers and energy and time and all these different things.
Yes. So at the end of the day, you can't be on the defense at all times, because even if you and I are like as close friends as possible and we're trying to get a project made, it's going to be so hard to get it done that if there is any like, it's going to be so 10 times more difficult.
Yeah.
So basically what you have to do is only work with people that somehow you vet them and you know for sure that they're not going to screw you over. And to be honest, you have to be open to people screwing you over just for the benefit of all of the other people that won't screw you over, and that you will be able to build a meaningful relationship and then be able to do things for many, many, many years.
Right.
Because it goes back to your reputation. And I think it's the same in business. Any type of business that you are having, you're building your reputation. And it's like this avalanche that with more time and more time and more time, it becomes more powerful. So even if people come and they screw you over somehow, at the end of the day, whatever you put out, you're going to keep receiving that. Right. And if you can be honest all the time and never screw anyone over, you will have way more good people gravitate towards you.
Opportunities as well, right?
Yeah. 100%. And that person that is doing that, they're going to get found out eventually.
Yeah.
So by screwing you over, it's like now your entire network knows what they're all about.
Right.
And now that we're becoming more and more connected and public, like right now, you're doing a podcast about business and you're interviewing all of these business people.
Yeah.
5 years ago, no one would have thought that to do business, you have to do a podcast.
Right.
Now, almost every single company, every single big business that you think about, those people who start those businesses and keep those businesses are doing media. They're public figures. They have a big Instagram account. They're investing so many more money into building a brand.
Yeah.
And a public figure and a public persona is all going to get found out.
Right.
Because also we all talk amongst each other. So like if I'm doing business with you and you are like a scumbag, eventually we are going to have people in common that just by me letting them know that you are not a good person, you're gonna miss out so much.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
So to me, it's like stupid to try to screw people over. Like, I don't want to live in that way. I don't want to win that way. I don't think you win in that,
No,
in
you
doing
don't.
that.
Yeah, I learned from a book that you guard your reputation like your life depends on it. That's what I learned early on, so that's what I do, you know. But talking about, because you talked to me how, like, you said that, like, the next time you're gonna work with somebody, you're gonna basically try to, like, vet them, right? But it seems kind of like you kind of vetted that person that snaked you out. Like, you brought him to his home, you built rapport with him, like, he met your children, your wife, and, you know, I'm sure you guys did other things as well. So do you feel like you vetted him or not? And if not, like, how do you still kind of bypass that?
I did.
You did?
I just need to do better job at doing that in the future.
Yeah.
And I'm probably going to mess up again.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
it was as much of his failure as my responsibility and my mistake for not doing a better job at protecting myself.
Makes sense.
Which is part of my personality. I'm very given, very like good faith at all times that everything is great, and I like to see the good in everyone. But there is some people that I guess you will get better with time as it happens to you. Now you can identify, this person is giving me, you know, that feeling.
Gut feeling.
Yes.
Yeah.
So feeling is one thing, which you develop that intuition with experience.
Right.
And the other thing is by vetting through the network of people that have worked with that person before, which is a very helpful thing.
Yeah.
But, you know, it has happened. Now that I can think about it, it has happened twice with people that have wronged me in a financial way. And the first person, like, it was someone that I did so much business with. And then in this one single business project that we did, he did me wrong.
I'm curious about that experience because it's like because the first one, it was the first project ever.
Yes.
But this one, how many projects were you deep into before he screwed you over?
Over a dozen. Like,
Over a
it
dozen.
was years working with this person. And then it was one project that was a big amount of money.
It's always that big amount of money that comes in. Yeah.
But now think about it. This was like probably like 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay.
And I was that big amount of money in that moment.
Yeah.
Now it's like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
You know?
Congratulations, buddy. Yeah.
So, like, I remember this was like, I lost about $3,000.
Okay.
But in that moment,
That was a lot.
$3,000 for me was like 2 months of like income,
Yeah.
because I had just come to America. I was like in my early years.
Yeah.
Now $3,000 is like, it's a day of doing something and you make that amount of money.
Yeah.
But now that person doesn't have a relationship with me anymore.
Yep.
So the way I see it, who lost more?
Yeah.
Me losing $3,000 one time, or them losing having access to me, my network, and all the value that I bring for the next 30 years.
Yep. And that's how long you plan on going the next 30 years?
I'm just giving you, like, I'm 30 right now, so another 30 years of career. Let's say that at 60, but at 60, I'm going to keep, like, let's say I die at 60.
Right.
So in 30 years, how many more projects we're going to do, how many more, like, movies and music videos and documentaries and, like, all of that. And now this person has lost access to me, has lost access to my brother, has lost access to all my network and all the people that I'm connected with, because they did something like short-sighted just to gain money at a moment and, like, screw me over.
Makes sense. How did you end up in Jardin here? Or as we say in French, jardin, which means garden.
We were just looking for a place in Hollywood that we could film, and we found this place, and it was like, we need to make this happen. So
yeah. And how long ago did you move here?
About 6 months.
You moved 6 months ago in Jardin. What about in West Hollywood specifically?
Same. I was in the Valley before, so this is my here in the Hollywood area, like living here, is 6 months.
Gotcha. What made you move from the Valley to here?
It's just closer to the studio. So I work at Impact Theory, and our studio is here in this area.
Yeah.
So it was before it was COVID, like everything was remote, but we have since moved to in person.
Yeah.
So like it's way easier to be like 10-15 minutes from the studio. That way I can go back and forth. Like every day I can go to the studio and come back. And if anything comes up, we have been trying to do more content that is like relevant.
Right.
So something breaks, some news happens or anything like that, and I have to, it's just like a 10-minute drive to be at the studio with Tom and be able to like get the cameras going and like get everything going.
Makes sense. How did you end up working with Tom from, because Impact Theory, it's a big YouTube channel, right? Or podcast?
Yeah.
How big are they?
Almost 3.6 million.
On subscribers?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty big, right?
Yes.
So like, how did you end up working with him in the first place?
So I've been watching Tom's content since I was in film school.
Okay.
So Tom, for people who don't know, Tom runs Impact Theory, the channel on YouTube, but he created Quest Nutrition, a protein company, and he sold that company for $1 billion. Wow. So when he was doing that company, he started doing interviews, and he was one of the early people on doing like high-end production, like YouTube podcast, talk show style content. Right. And I was in film school when he started doing that, and I was watching a lot of the videos, like every single video I would watch. And it was the first time that I started opening my mind to more business and basically to all the things that are possible when you open your mind, and also when you are in a country like America and anything is possible. So I really wanted to work with him, and he went to film school and he was a filmmaker that went into business, and I really identify with that. So I just promised myself whenever I go to LA, I'm going to find a way to work with them. So Tom sold Quest Nutrition for $1 billion, and then he took the money that he made from selling the company into building a new studio.
Oh, okay.
So to build a new studio, because he wanted to go after Disney and like become like the biggest movie studio in the world, that lined up with my goal of being the biggest director in the world pretty well.
Right.
So I was like, when I go to LA, I want to work with them.
Right.
And I found my way in. So I was watching all the content. I joined the online university, Impact Theory University, and I just started making connections with people there, which was amazing because I made some of the best friendships that I have through joining that like mastermind group or like online community. And I remember I went to the first time that he did a live event, and I met him and I told him, hey, I want to find a way to work with you. What's your strategy to make movies? What are you going to do with the studio? I want to be a part of that. And he gave me like kind of his short-term strategy of what he could do at the moment. And he said, keep trying and keep in touch to see if we could work together.
Yeah.
But it took me about a year of working on small little projects with them until it was like, yeah, we want to bring you full-time in-house. So I was working on a movie at Sony at the time. And I've been working a lot with Tom Bilyu. Lisa is Tom's wife, and she runs the production, and she's the president of the studio, and she's like a beast of a businesswoman. And I have been working on several projects with her, and we had a really good chemistry and creative, and like we saw a lot of things the same way. So she made me an offer to come full time, and I've been there for about 2.5 years, almost 3 years.
Wow. And do you like it?
Yeah, it's really challenging, and I have learned a lot. And there's still a lot of things that I need to learn, because I'm a very creative person, but I also have a business mind. But my creative is my favorite, so I lean towards creative. And in the last few years, I've been able to level up my business thinking and now meet somewhere in the middle. Because when creative is driven by business, or business is driven by creative, and you can find a balance, then you can create amazing things and make it profitable and make a shit ton of money, which is what we all want.
Makes sense. Yeah. So it sounds like you went through like a whole process in order to kind of work with him, right? You talked about how you basically joined like a university, online university, and then the mastermind, and you made connections there. What kind of advice do you have for people that are trying to make these connections? Because maybe some people have anxiety, they're shy, or they don't even know how to even make connections. How even maybe they're in the group, they're in like they got in, but now they just don't know how to leverage it. What do you have to say about that?
I think that's something that you have to work through in your personality.
Okay.
And I would just take it step by step. So what connection would radically change your life and get you closer to your goals? So think about who is that type of person.
Right.
Then think about where could I find that type of person? And some people find those connections in car clubs or book clubs or online universities or any other type of like meetup or group like that. So if you're shy and you don't like to be around people, that's going to be really difficult. That's something that you have to try a little bit harder every single time.
Yeah.
And if you're having anxiety about being around a large group of people, maybe join whatever online group or whatever online thing is. And pretty much any community that you want to be a part of has an online component to it.
Makes sense.
Like any interest that you have, there's an online side of it.
Yeah.
So try to talk to different people there and then just meet one person. So if you force yourself to meet just one person, that's going to help you like meet the next person and the next person and the next person.
Makes sense. Working with his name is Tom Bilyu. Is that how you say it?
Tom Bilyu.
Bilyu, sorry. So working with Tom Bilyu, what's that like?
Pretty intense. Like we have very hardcore demands of your intensity and your commitment to learn, get better, defend your ideas, stick to process, and be accountable for things. So one of the best things about working in the company is that we're really transparent. So we have, like, I was running late for our show because we have a time every week where everyone meets at a specific time, and any questions that you have for the CEO of the company, you throw it out right there in front of everyone who is also in line to ask questions and get answers.
Okay.
And there, whatever it is that we're talking about, you get to see, think about it. You get to sit there and see how someone who built multiple multi-million-dollar businesses, one of them $1 billion company,
Right.
You get to see how that person processed through information and decision making. And you have to go up to him because sometimes like I want to pitch something to Tom that, hey, we should do this. And he's saying like, no, we shouldn't do that. And then you have to build your communication skills, your data analysis skill, your business thinking skills, and your creative skills to be able to pitch that idea and convince this person.
Yeah.
And 85% of the time you're thinking he knows better than me.
Right.
And then he's telling you, I don't know better than you. Let's just look at the facts and like the process and what's the hypothesis, what's the preferred outcome, how do we get there, what's your plan, what's my plan, show me data.
Yeah.
But then you're looking at the guy in the eye and you have to like come up with like, why are you saying that you should pitch this person for the show?
Yeah.
Or like the trailer for the next partnership that we're going to announce should be this way and not the way that this person wants it or the way that this person wants it. So it's really challenging intellectually and creatively. So it's really fun. But at the same time, it's sometimes very frustrating because there's a lot of process and structure. And for creative people, that can be a challenge because I want to grab my camera and shoot this way and do this and do that. But I can't do that all the time because now I have learned there are ways of doing things. What's the goal? What's the process to get to that goal? Who's the responsible party? So there's a lot of like mechanisms of how a production company and a studio can work that is learned from someone who created a nutrition company and a protein company that had an assembly line and everything was made in a specific way to hit all of this like manufacturing like points. So it's like this hybrid of how do we create content with a manufacturing mindset and still leave room for data analysis and creative input and like the human element of saying, I think that's a good interview. I think that's a good guest. or not.
Makes sense. If you didn't know that Tom sold his Quest bar company for $1 billion, right? But you still were working for him, you were still around him, would you know that he say he told you, hey, I'm gonna build a company and sell it for $1 billion? Would you believe that he would do that? And if so, why? What's different about him than other people?
If he told me that he was building a new $1 billion company now
Yeah.
without building it before,
Yeah.
I mean, I think I would believe because of the way he thinks. You would be able to at least say, hey, this person has a really good way of processing and making business decisions.
Right.
You could still identify that, but the belief will go down to at least 50%.
Right.
Now it's really easy. Now you say, well, he did it, so he can do it again.
Yeah. Makes sense. What's that? What his thought process like? What his process is like?
So his main framework to go through business decisions
Yeah.
is something he calls the physics of progress.
The physics, Tom calls it the physics of progress.
Yes.
Never heard that before.
So Tom created this framework for business called the physics of progress, which is really simple. You have a hypothesis of a desired outcome, and you say, okay, my hypothesis is I want to build the next big studio.
Right.
And I believe that if I create a YouTube channel and I have interviews with the most influential people in the world, that is, one, going to bring value to people and impact their lives, and two, is going to bring me network and relationships that would allow me to leverage that to then build anything I want to build.
Right.
And then you have to go and test that with a time frame and then see, did you get closer to the goal or further away from the goal? What are the results? And then what is your conclusion? And it's kind of a loop where you have hypothesis, then strategy and like action items with a desired outcome. And then you measure that. And then you learn and then you repeat.
Yeah.
And it's that little cycle.
Sounds like being a scientist. Basically, you're just testing these theories out, and you're using the same terms too, like hypothesis, and that's so interesting. And as far as like, so being an impact theory, do you feel like you've grown a lot being in there?
Yes, I've definitely grown a lot in the way that I can communicate, in the way that I can structure and think through problems, solutions, tracking things, and just in general, knowing that, hey, what is separating me from what I want is the actions that I do kind of daily.
Yeah.
And even before the actions is how do I think about myself and my actions? That also plays a huge part into believing or not believing or going this way or that way. So I have grown a lot, and I'm still going to keep growing. And, you know, at some point, things will change in my life for the better. And maybe I'll be working with them in a different capacity or working on my own to build something different. But no doubt, the time that I've spent there, I've learned a lot.
And you already have your own podcast, right?
Yes. So I started my own podcast even before I started working at Impact Theory.
Oh, okay.
And a funny thing is, like, with my podcast, I haven't been able to like create what I want.
Why not?
Because it's really hard.
What's hard about it?
Having 3 million followers is pretty hard.
Oh, you're talking about Tom.
No, I'm talking about my own podcast.
Oh, okay.
So I want to have at least 1 million followers. That's like my goal, is to reach 1 million followers.
On YouTube?
On YouTube.
Okay.
Yeah. But also working at Impact Theory, I see that, hey, what this person has built, it took the same team, basically like the same founders that went and did $1 billion company. They went into this industry, and it has taken them 6 years of blood, sweat, and tears, working insane hours with a team of like badass people for 6 years to get to this point. So if I spend a year doing my own podcast on my free time and like doing as good as I can, but not to the level of this
Tom,
over here,
yeah.
I can't compare my results to that because I haven't put in the same amount of work and just pure resources. Like it's very different when you have a team of people and you have a location and a full-time studio and like all of that. It is completely different to when you don't have that. And I think a lot of people think, yeah, you should start doing it. Just do it. Just post it. Like I think we got a lot of that from Gary Vee.
Yeah.
Which will take you from 0 to like 3. Like I think you need that advice of just post it and just get it out there from 0 to 3.
Yeah, that's actually what I'm lacking to is posting. So yeah.
Yeah, so you need that advice.
Yeah.
But then after a certain point, it's like it's not about posting anymore. Like there is so much that goes behind the scenes of our production team that if you saw all of that, you will see why we're so successful. It's not random. It's not just posted.
Yeah.
It's quite the opposite. Now we have the opposite problem. Now whatever we post has an effect on the whole catalog. So we can't just be posting shit.
Yeah.
So it's very intricate and complicated. And I have learned a lot because I've been able to be part of the company for the last 3 years.
Makes sense. What's their volume like when it comes to producing short form content, long form content?
It depends on the platform. So for the main YouTube channel, we do 2 episodes a week, sometimes 3 pieces of content per week. For short form content, we don't do as much. Honestly, on the main YouTube channel, there is no shorts.
Really?
Yeah.
At all?
No shorts.
Huh. Even though that's probably the fastest growing way to grow on YouTube right now.
But how much money will you make?
Well, it's sometimes I see it as it's correlate. Well, first of all, YouTube is paying for shorts, right? They're
How
paying.
much?
I don't know.
We know. So you can have a short, like we had a short the other day. I think it had made almost like 1 million views. Almost.
Yeah.
And it made like $13.
Oh wow.
It's
But
ridiculous.
I wonder if that show that got 1 million views, how many views did it help get the long form?
Very few.
Really?
Because when you're watching shorts, you're watching shorts.
Yeah.
So you watch it and you scroll to the next one and you scroll to the next one and you scroll to the next one. So it actually has, as of this moment right now when we're recording this interview, and all of this can change with YouTube algorithms. So it's just a caveat that this information can be different in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 5 weeks because the
100%.
algorithms change.
Of course.
But as of right now, shorts don't dramatically increase your views on your long form content. It's actually the opposite. It can be a deterrent from the views on the long form content.
What about TikTok?
It's a whole different beast. And
Yeah, it is.
yes.
Yeah.
So on TikTok, to be honest, like I'm not very much on TikTok. It takes so much energy to even be
Figure out the
half
algorithm.
good on YouTube.
Right.
Like I spend so much time on YouTube and it doesn't translate because the algorithms are not the same. So that side, I'm not an expert on TikTok. I'm an expert on YouTube.
Makes sense. And do you know if they're posting on TikTok right now, the Impact Theory?
Yeah.
They
Tom's has a channel and there's a social team that works on that, and they take from the long form and then package and put it on the social channels. But it's a complete different platform.
Makes
so
sense.
Instagram is different, TikTok is different, Twitter is different, and then YouTube is different. So we have different people that manage different platforms, and the content, there's a lot of overlap because we're making so much content that you can take from here and from there, but the packaging is different and all of that. So
100%. How long ago did you start your own podcast?
I did in 2017, I did my first 4 episodes.
2017?
2017.
So that's how long?
5 years ago.
5 years ago. Wow.
So I did 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And
Just in
then
that year, 4 episodes only.
only 4 episodes, yes.
Okay.
So I had just graduated from college. I was working. I moved. So there was a lot going on in my personal life. So I was able to do 4, and then I had to stop. Then I think in 2020, when I came to LA, I started again. And again, I did 4 episodes.
Just that year.
Yes.
What's up with the number 4?
I don't know. And it was 4 because I did one and then I booked some people. And then in one day I got 3 episodes done. So it was almost like 2 days of filming and I got that many episodes. And then COVID happened. So all podcasts, like in person, everything shut down.
Yeah.
So then in 2021, I was like, screw this. I need to get started. And I think I did like a few more episodes.
Yeah.
And then in 2022, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. Like, again, like, it's something that I've always wanted. If you can tell, I like to talk a lot.
Yeah.
So, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I went after it. And in 2022, I did probably like 26 episodes.
Wow. 2022. 26
Yes.
episodes. How many
Yes.
is that a month?
It's like twice a month.
2 a month.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they were like, sometimes I will do like in a month, I will do like 3, 4. And then the next month, like, because remember, I'm not doing that full time. So have a full-time job. I'm trying to make films.
Yeah.
I have family, like personal life.
Right.
And then the podcast. So it's very challenging.
Yeah, I bet. In 2023, how many episodes have you done so far?
I've lost count. So I don't know the actual count right now, but at least I would say 20.
At least 20.
Yeah.
So would you say you're doing more volume 2023 than 2022 so far?
Yes, because now we have this place, so it's way easier to film.
Yeah.
We have right now, you don't see it, but we have like the full setup with the multi cameras. My brother is doing the live edit, so like this episode, we will put it out like in the next 2 days or so. It will be out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That quick turnaround time?
Yeah, and if we needed fast turnaround, like I could take the hard drive like right after this and go do some graphics and some work on it and stay up late and post it like in the morning.
Really?
Yes.
That quick?
Yeah. So, but we have invested a lot of money to be able to have the equipment to do that. So gradually we're going to get more volume. But then you realize the funny thing is you will have an episode that will have more views than all the other episodes that you posted that year combined.
Really?
And then it comes back to the strategy. Who is the guest? How is that position? There's a lot of things on YouTube that if it's not the right person, it doesn't matter. Even it happens for my channel and even for Impact Theory's channel. It's a 3.5 million subscriber channel.
Yeah.
And if we post an interview with a guest that doesn't have the right backing of other content on YouTube, it will flop.
Wow.
Or if it's not the right topic, like it's very, very tricky. And there's a lot of markers that we can track to see and estimate a range of views that episode would have in like 7 days, 30 days, 60 days. So there are different strategies for different types of content.
Makes sense. What do you think? What do you think you applied from like, working with Tom? Because obviously, like you were doing 4 a year, kind of starting out in 2017, 5 years ago, and then 2022 is when you kind of really started picking it up, and 2023 you're doing even more now. What are some things that you applied from working with Tom and Impact Theory that kind of helped you elevate your game when it comes to podcasting and creating content? The system?
Yes, the system.
What is the system?
For example, right now, we were able to create this set where you have the cameras, you have the live edit going on. So there is a system. And actually, I implemented this at Impact Theory, trying to find ways, how do I cut my lead time from when I shoot to when the episode comes out? And how do I reduce the pain points? And how can I either automate or delegate? So if I can find a way, before I had to shoot on all 3 cameras and then sit down and edit. Right now, because we invested in the equipment and I have my brothers help, now we don't have to do that anymore. So that cuts the time like by 3 or 4x.
Right.
So it doesn't take as much energy to put it out. So just trying to build systems, whatever it is that you're doing in your business, once you find the most synthesized way of doing it, and then you keep shrinking that, that's how you get more volume.
Makes sense. How do you do the live editing? I just realized my neck's posture is so bad. I've had neck pain for the past like 2 years. And I think it's because of my posture. But anyways, regardless of that, how do you do the live editing?
It's just with a Black Magic switcher. All the inputs come in. It has a hard drive connected. And then my brother is going this
He's
camera.
switching every single time you talk. Then he switches to me. Then he kind of does the wide angle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. But you still kind of need to like do the editing. Like, what if like we just kind of go on like a silence for like 2 minutes, or like you still gotta like go in there and edit, right?
So you can write notes as you're doing the live edit.
Is that what he's doing?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
But to be honest, for us, we
Huh? But he said I don't make mistakes.
yeah, very rarely he makes mistakes.
Yeah.
And to be honest, when you look at the biggest podcast in the world is Joe Rogan.
Right.
It's 3 cameras, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy.
Yep.
Like whatever you say, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Because the medium is very different from short form content. So you're taking your shorts, which are amazing, by the way. I love them.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Great job.
Yeah.
So you're doing something very finesse because you only have like 15 seconds to, right?
Right.
But on a long form podcast, once you click on because you want to hear Axel and Ryan speaking, you're going to click on it and you're in it for the ride, which is the beauty of that medium.
Right.
If you could do more editing, it helps. It definitely helps.
Yeah.
Right now, my problem is not that my editing sucks. My problem is that I was doing only 4 episodes, like only 10 episodes. So I need to get more reps. Even if I have 5 mistakes in the edit, nobody cares about that in the long scheme of things because people are just consuming the content because they want the conversation.
Do you think that was the only missing puzzle piece? Just more volume on like bringing guests on?
No, definitely not. So for podcasts specifically, the quality of your guest dictates the quality of your future guest.
Okay.
So for you to get better guests, you need to improve the guests that you have.
Makes sense.
Which is the chicken and the egg problem.
Yeah.
Because how do I get amazing guests if I don't have any guests?
Right.
So some people, like we've talked about this, some people go and pay for the guests to come, which I don't recommend you ever do.
Yes.
And some other people hire someone that has the connections that can go and book the guests for you.
Makes sense.
Which is amazing. Like if you have the budget, do that. It definitely works. And I have some connections that's what they do and they're really good at it. And the hard way, which is what I have done, is you try to leverage your network to get to good guests and you build a slower build.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just DMing people and, hoping that they respond back and get on the podcast 100%. How do you stay focused out here? There's like so much distraction and like, just how do you stay focused?
For me, it's so easy.
Really?
Yeah. I don't drink. I don't care much for parties. I have the people that I absolutely love in my life and I want to spend time with them. And to me, the only thing that distracts me is more projects. So like that's actually my problem is that I want to do this movie and work at the studio and have this podcast and create a new YouTube channel and like go and shoot this kind of thing. So
makes sense.
Yeah, I'm not the best person to talk about that because to me it's like what I want it so bad. Yeah. And these other distractions don't really like bring anything. Like,
they don't. I mean, I asked that personally. I mean, I live in Las Vegas. People, they debate LA, Los Angeles. I mean, yeah, like LA, Las Vegas, which one's like just has too many distractions, right? But like, I think they're both kind of equal at the end of the day. But yeah, it's the same thing for me. I just, drinking, smoking, all these different things, they're meaningless. They really are. It doesn't bring any value to your life. I think it's trading short term for long term. That's what it is at the end of the day. So I 100% agree with you on that. So I see you have a ton of books right here below us. Some of them I recognize, like Crushing It. Which one is the most impactful one you read?
So my favorite book, I have 2 like on the running. So one will be 12 Rules for Life from Jordan Peterson. And the other one will be You Can't Hurt Me from David Goggins. I think those two books, life changing.
Makes sense. So do you think those like kind of help build your mindset?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I think Jordan Peterson and the 12 Rules for Life, that's basically like a map for understanding human life and mapping out your own life and how you want to be in the world. And then David Goggins' story, just like so inspiring. Like up against that story, you can say whatever is happening to me is nothing, and I'm going to basically not even come close to any level of pain and suffering to accomplish my goals compared to this person. So if Goggins was able to do that, then I should be able to do whatever I have to do to get my thing done. So having that mindset definitely has helped me a lot. And I still like, I read those books probably once a year, and which is something that I've done for the last like year and a half. I'm not reading any new books. Very rarely, unless like someone really recommends a book. But this idea that you have to read like a book every week or like a book a month, I think that's actually nonsense.
You think so?
Yeah. What you should do is find 3 or 4 core books and just read them once a year.
That's interesting because like these quote unquote billionaires like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, Elon Musk, like if you look at their early life, they were devouring books. Like it was their job.
Because they were getting information.
Right.
But think about it. You right now, you probably know the 3 or 4 things that you need to do in your life to get your shit together and level up to the next stage of your life. So you don't need more information. You just need to act on the information that you have.
I feel like I'm kind of battling with that though. Like, first of all, I don't think I can know the next 3 things that's going to get me to where I want to go.
So what are your goals? So what are 3 things that if that happened this year, you would be like, okay, this is the best year of my life?
Best year of my life. Ooh, if I hit 100K subs on YouTube, that'd be awesome.
So what do you need to do to get 100K subs on YouTube?
Get as many guests as possible on the podcast, produce as much volume as possible, which means like probably putting, because Tom's doing 2 episodes a week, right? So maybe do 2 to 4 episodes a week because I'm just starting out just to get more volume in.
Done.
Yeah.
That's it. So how would reading 10 more books help you accomplish that?
So it's funny because sometimes when I read books, I read them out loud. And I read something about how reading out loud helps with your communication. It helps with your thought process.
But again, you don't need help with your communication and your thought process.
You don't think so?
Think about it. For your goal, you just said you need to book more guests and do more episodes so you can do 2 to 4 episodes per week.
Yeah.
So just go do that.
Right. Yes, but then also it's like I want to make sure that the quality of the questions that because it's would you agree that the quality of the questions kind of dictate the quality of your life that you ask?
Yes.
Yeah.
But if you already have pick 4 books that you absolutely love and think that are fundamental, like base core of your belief system.
Yeah.
That's enough. Yeah. Like there is a lot there that you're not going to be able to act on.
Right.
Or maybe you have shitty books.
Yeah.
Like if you go and you read Can't Hurt Me from David Goggins, you're going to need some time to process that shit.
Okay.
And you're going to read it now, and then 8 months, you read it again, and there's a different read, and there's some things that you're still not putting into practice into your life.
Talk to me about that book, by the way, Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. You know, because you mentioned that book twice already in our episode. So what's so special about that book?
So David Goggins, do you know his story? Do you know anything about Goggins?
Actually, he goes to my gym in Vegas. So I've seen, actually, when I first...
No shit.
Swear to God, when I first went to... Because when I first moved to Vegas, I was trying to find the best gyms to go to. There's this one gym, I don't think I can say the name, but it's like 1,000 member club.
Yeah, I know what gym that is.
anyways, it's like supposed to be low key because they don't really do advertising for it.
I
But
know.
essentially, like I walk because my friend was already a member there. I walk to the gym. I look to my right. I see Goggins doing pull-ups. I'm not kidding you.
That's amazing.
My first thought, I'm signing up here.
That's
And I'm like,
amazing.
and like she was showing me around, walking around the gym. And I'm just like trying to like not like just. I'm just like okay, just you know what I mean. Like holy,
Yeah.
that's David Goggins. And then Jay Cutler goes there, 6-time Olympian as well, and a bunch of other people, pretty
Okay.
cool people. But yeah,
Well, David Goggins, he had a crazy story of abuse, pain, suffering, the craziest shit you can think of.
yeah,
And then he ended up being like a 300-pound dude that his life was absolute garbage. Like
Right.
he was the guy going in to kill the cockroaches in the kitchens,
right,
like at night. That was his life. And he wanted to become a Navy SEAL. And he did that shit. But the journey of how he did it is incredible. So that book just, I remember I was reading that book when I had 2 weeks to finish my film before it had the premiere. And I used to like wake up at 3 a.m, go run, and then come back and edit for like 10, 12 hours, and then go to bed and like read the book and then go run. So it got me through a lot
yeah,
to get the movie made.
right,
And just like his story and everything he went through and the way he thinks about, you can just push yourself like 10 times harder than you're pushing yourself right now. Just that mindset, like if you can capitalize on that,
yeah,
think about it. Like if you have that on for a whole year, you're going to accomplish that goal with the podcast. You're going to be able to do so much.
Yeah.
So sometimes reading too much, watching too many videos, like doing so many like retreats and like coaching and da 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 da. It's like all you need is to do those 3 things that you know that you need to get done. You don't have a lack of information. You have
Yeah.
a lack of action.
yeah. I also I feel like also like would you agree that you should always be learning every single day, whether to communicating with people, learning, or reading books, or watching YouTube videos?
Yeah, and that happens like all the time.
Yeah,
Like, listen, right now, if you need to go in and learn, let's say you're trying to build a YouTube channel and you need to go for like a month, you need to become an expert at YouTube. Then you go in and you listen to like 200 hours of videos of people teaching you how to do that. But then you also have to go do it. The problem is, and this happens to me too, like sometimes we watch too much content because your brain doesn't know the difference between acting on the idea and studying and listening and learning and getting excited about the idea. So you're getting a dopamine hit by thinking about how this YouTube channel could work and everything that it could do for you,
Right.
and learning about it. But at some point you have to put a stop. Now, if you know nothing about podcasts, you have never like learned anything about YouTube channels, you're a baby, you need to get yourself to a base level knowledge.
yeah,
But then it comes to a point that you have to start doing it. And also this shit changes so rapidly
yeah,
that if you read 2 books and spend a month doing research, you're going to have enough for the next 6 months to like go and execute on that. And then you're going to have to update your thinking on that. But that's very different from learning a skill or getting information and data about a specific tactic compared to reading seminal core books that you use to build your framework about life and your business in general. You don't need that many of those.
yeah.
You only need like a few that have like the core base of what you built upon.
That makes sense, 100%. So when it came to you kind of building your own podcast, then what was that process like of trying to, I guess, learn the right information? Or did you already know the information because you work with Impact Theory, which has 3 million plus subscribers?
It's a mix. So
It's a mix.
I was learning a lot of things on my own, and then I'm learning a lot from working on the team and seeing what works.
Yeah.
The challenge is that what works for a big channel doesn't work for a small channel. So then if I try to do the same exact tactic for the small channel that I do on the big channel, it just won't work the same. So our time frames are different. The way we track the data is different. For example, I have a really good friend of mine, Chase. He used to run all the back-end data for us, and now he has his own company. And he was like, bro, until you hit like 20K subs, I can't really help you. Like,
Really? He said that to you?
yes, because he doesn't have enough data to look at your channel and actually know what you're doing right or wrong.
That's so interesting.
So you need to put in the work so you have build a catalog. Then you can see on the back end so many data points of what's working and what's not working. And how can you improve? Also, what type of audience you want to build.
Yeah.
It's very intricate.
Yeah. I'm curious, what's the reason why you hopped on this podcast with me? Because, by the way, I've reached out to a lot of people, right? And I'm very grateful because I've only gotten like, I think it's only been like one person actually, maybe one or two, maybe one person. Yeah, it's only been one person that's really like dug deep into like how many followers do you have on YouTube, TikTok, like can I see your analytics before hopping on my podcast as a guest. But it's crazy because that person is a nobody that doesn't even have an audience. So it's funny. But anyways, I lost the track of my question.
So why did I decide to be on your podcast?
Yeah, like what's the reason why you came on my podcast? Because I'm not even on YouTube yet.
Yeah.
I'm a nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because of our mutual friend.
Right.
So because I got introduced to you through a good friend, then I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it.
Makes
and
sense.
Also, like, think about it. For me, it's like, I love that you are building this. Like, I see a lot of myself in you. So you're trying to do the interviews. And honestly, like the first time we met, I was like, well, now we have to wait and see. Like I gave you a lot of information and then we have to wait and see if you go and execute.
Yeah.
And then I saw on your Instagram that you were releasing the clips and they were fire. Like the clips are amazing.
Thank you. I got to give a big shout out to my editor. He's doing a great job. So I'm grateful for him.
Yes, 100%. So I'm like, I want to get me one of those like Ponder clips. Like I want to look good too.
Yeah, I got you.
So it was a mix of that, the relationship,
Yeah.
and also you're putting in the work and you have good content.
Makes sense. Okay. Well, that's very helpful to know. So okay, cool. So you told me that you kind of see a lot of yourself in me. What do you think is something that I kind of need to tweak to kind of maybe raise up the level, raise up the bar? Because you kind of see what I have going on. You've seen like my clips. I've talked to you in the back and how many episodes I have. What do you think I can do to kind of improve and maybe just get to the next level a lot faster?
Mm-hmm. I would say, do you really know what you want and why?
Honestly, I don't know what I want. Do I know why I'm doing it? Yes, because I know it's going to impact and change lives. I know that somebody that's watching out there that maybe is starting a podcast, or maybe they're in Cuba right now and they want to move out, or maybe they want to move to West Hollywood and they just kind of heard your story. So now they're like, okay, this guy literally crossed the border and like got integrated by the police and I can do this too. So it's giving them the confidence and being able to change their perspective. And I think that's priceless because I'm helping another human being out. And to me, it's just like, maybe that's why I was put on this earth for, so that's my kind of thought process on that.
I think, to be honest, it sounds like you're borrowing that from someone else.
Okay. I'm not, but that's interesting.
Yeah.
You said that.
It sounds like you have heard a lot of successful people that you admire say that.
Yeah.
And then you almost say, okay, that's something great that I admire. I want to integrate that into my life.
Right.
Which is great.
Yes.
I think that is 50% of the equation. Now
Yes.
you need to find the other 50, like why do you want it? Like, why do you really want to help those people?
Yeah.
Because it also needs to help you and give you fulfillment. Okay. It can't be just about, I'm going to help people. Like, somewhere deep down, you need to have your own desire of like, why are you going to do this for yourself?
Yeah, that is true. And I do want to build a company in the future. I do want to, I personally, for me, I definitely want to be financially wealthy. For sure. I want to have the financial freedom to do these different things in life and be able to travel and meet different people from different cultures. And so for me, I also, talking to Omar Al-Attar, right? When he told me, because I reached out to him because he interviewed a ton of billionaires, right? Like Tom and other, people. And it just seems pretty cool as his lifestyle too, like being able to travel and like go to this place and be able to get this connection and being able to, be friends with these types of people. I think that's another thing that I would love to do. And also he was telling me, look, just the other week, I actually charged somebody to be on my podcast. I was like, oh, that's interesting. So you're helping them get short form content out and promoting their business to get them more clients. So it's kind of like a service-based business. And I was like, okay, how much did you charge him to be on the guest? He told me $15,000. I said, how long was the episode? He said 60 minutes. And Sean Mike Kelly, who's a good friend of mine, we both use the same studio in Las Vegas, he started his podcast February of this year. And now I think he already got like a couple people, 2 or 3 people that are paying him $2,500 for a 30-minute interview. No editing, just the interview. So for me, I kind of see it as a business as well too. But there's also like the sellout aspect of it, where it's like people are like, oh, well, you're just bringing this guest on because they're paying you, and sure, that could be a thing. I don't know how I'm gonna work that out because the audience, they have their own opinion and everything. But that's also the other side that I see.
Yeah, I just don't know if that's gonna be enough to put you through making 800 episodes.
Yeah. Okay, here's another thing. I love talking to people. I love learning. So another thing too. When I was in Fort Lauderdale, I brought my friend from Virginia to live with me. I'm just like, dude, just get out of Virginia. I don't even know why I'm bringing you out here, but just come out here, bro. You just need a different change environment. You just need different ideas, whatever it is, right? And he noticed like whenever we would because we would go on runs in the morning, and he would notice I would say good morning to everybody. Like every single person that crossed by me would say good morning. And for me, it was a fun game of seeing who would say good morning back. I don't know, I'm kind of crazy. But then also he would notice that whenever we went out to restaurants, I would just make conversation with people, Uber drivers, wherever it is. And my friend Brett was like, dude, you should start a YouTube channel. And then my other friends were also like, dude, you should start a YouTube channel. So they was kind of my friends that pushed me to do it, because they just kind of see me talking to people and making these conversations and learning from them. Mm-hmm. So it was a mixture of like, I see what other people are doing and why they're doing it, like impacting people, sure. But it was also kind of like my friends pushing me to do it. And maybe that was like a sign for me to do it. So it's a mixture of like all of these different things.
And I think you have your own curiosity. So what I would do then is put that at the front.
Okay.
And use that as your driver, because you're going to have moments where you're not going to make any money.
Right.
But then if you're happy doing it, like this is something like my brother and I talk about all the time. For him, it's like, as long as he gets to do whatever interview he wants, he's like, I'm happy. I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care, which is great. So try to lead with that, and you're going to enjoy the interviews a lot more. And that's going to show through the way you do the interview, and then people are going to start liking you for who you are and like the questions that you bring to the table.
Makes sense.
I think if you can bring that on and be honest about it, like, I'm curious about this, I want to learn. And also like, how do you make money with this and that? And like being honest and genuine, I think that goes a long way.
100%. Yeah. And I think also it's like the curiosity comes from like the fact that I really don't know what I want to do in life. I really don't. I've had different ideas, but it's like I just, it doesn't seem.
How old are you?
I'm 23.
It's okay.
And it feels, because like I have then again, I'm in Las Vegas, and I'm very grateful. But my circle that I'm around with, they're all dominating their path, and they're all doing really well. And it seems like I'm quote unquote dominating my path, but I feel like I'm not. So.
But I guarantee you, 90% of them feel the same way.
You think so?
Yes, because they also have other people in their circle that are way ahead, and it makes them feel that way. But it's okay.
Yeah.
As long as you're putting in all your effort and you're doing your best to capitalize on that. And listen, if there are things that you can do to improve, that's why you're doing this. That's why you're learning. So you're doing the right thing, and you have the right attitude about it.
Yeah.
So the fact that you feel like you haven't done anything, while you have done a lot, and you also feel like you're going to accomplish something big, the mixture of those two things is actually a good indicator that you have the right heart, and you're going to put in the work, and things are going to do really, really, really well for you. If you can, check out this other episode over here. It's with my friend Tom Boyd. He's going to talk about how to turn your influence into brand deals and how to level up your game on the social media game.